Hi everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. Thank you for joining me. This is today's project. As you can see, it's a cute little owl with a large bunch of balloons, and when you pull on this tab, he goes floating through the air and a happy birthday sentiment appears. So stay with me and I will show you how I put it all together. I've been using my balloon punch, and the balloon punch punches out two balloons at the same time, one large one and one small one. Now for this card I only want the small ones, so I've put the large ones to one side, and I have been using most of the brights colours actually. So that's Daffodil Delight, that is Tempting Turquoise, that's Pacific Point, that's Pumpkin Pie, Old Olive and Real Red. So I've got a whole lot of balloons punched out ready. Now I'm also using this stamp set, the Balloon Celebration, and the stamps fit the punched out balloons. Okay, they're a companion set, they go together, and I'm wanting to put shadows onto my balloons. So this stamp here will actually put the shadows onto my punched balloons. Now the original cunning plan was to colour coordinate and to punch, to stamp that one in Pumpkin Pie and that one in Daffodil Delight, and I would have had quite a stack of ink pads on my desk here. So just to make it simple, I had a bright idea of using smoky slate, and I tried it out and it gave me the effect I wanted. So I have smoky slate and I've mounted up the small shadow punch onto my ink block, my acrylic block here. Brain isn't working today. So I'm inking it up and I'm going to stamp off, and I'm just going to line that up with my balloon. And actually that one didn't take terribly well, so fortunately we have magic two-sided paper here, so we'll try again. So stamp off and onto the balloon. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's better. Now that's given me a shaded effect, but it's not too dark, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the rest of the balloons. And there we are. They are all my balloons. I'll bring them all back, all with a nice little bit of a shape, and all done with one colour. This is my card base. It's 8.5 by 5 3/4. Here's my background card. It's 8.5 by 5 3/4, and I've scored it at 4 inches and 8 inches, and this is going to be the front. And I'm just going to mask off just the back with just this little piece of scrap paper. And I've got Whisper White ink, and I'm using this stamp from Balloon Celebration. And I'm just going to create a background of clouds. And this is one of those things where I'm just not going to worry too much about it. I'm just going to stamp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if all the ink doesn't transfer like that doesn't matter, it's a cloud. And I tell you what I'm doing wrong, which I've just realised. I haven't got my squishy mat underneath. That's why it's not stamping properly. So you can see now, there's an object lesson for you. You can see now why we use the squishy mat. Okay, so I'm going to stamp some of them over here as though they're coming into the scene, and over here so they're going out of the scene. And even though I'm getting these spaces, these gaps, because it's a cloud, doesn't matter at all. I would probably be having the vapours if I was stamping something like a balloon, but because it's a cloud, I don't care. And at the end of the day, now you see that one was much better. At the end of the day, this is just a little fantasy background. I just want the top of the clouds here. There we go. And perhaps up here, I'll just have the bottom of a cloud. Right. So I think I've got enough there. So I'm just going to let that dry, and then we move on to the next step. I finished off stamping the front of the card by adding in a few of these clouds from the Balloon Celebration stamp set, and I've also stamped Let Us Celebrate, which is that one there, in Memento Tuxedo Black along the bottom of the front of the card. And I just want to do one more thing before I the Whisper White the clouds have had time to dry, and I've stamped a few more using the smaller cloud pen. The Whisper Whites had time to dry, and I also finished off the front of the card with some of the smaller cloud shapes from the Balloon Celebration set, and I also stamped Let It Celebrate, Let Us Celebrate. Let's start again. The clouds have had time to dry on the front of the card now, and I also added in a few more of the smaller cloud stamp from the same stamp set, and I also used this one, the Let Us Celebrate, and I've stamped that along the bottom of the card here, and I used Tuxedo Black Memento for that. Just want to do one more thing to the front of this card before I forget. And I've got a 1-inch circle punch, and I'm just going to go about halfway, and I'm just going to kind of do it more or less by eye. I'm going to tuck that out of the way so it doesn't distract me, and I'm just going to just punch out just a little arc there, because that's going to help me to pull out the inner card. So I'm going to put that on one side for a moment and finish off the stamping that I want to do. Now for the inside of the card, I have a piece of Whisper White, and it is 5.5 by 3 3/4, so it's just a little bit smaller than the outside of the card, and if I just slip it inside, it'll just fit nicely in there, but there is room for me to pull it out. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this bit I want, not that bit, done that bit, and I have my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I've got the Happy Birthday again from that same Balloon Celebration set. And I'm going to try and not get ink all over my fingers. So I'm going to punch this towards the top and towards the centre of my Whisper White card, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and give that plenty of time for the ink to transfer. And you probably noticed I've got my silicone mat underneath, so that there is a little bit of give underneath the stamp when I'm stamping it. Right. Next thing I'm going to make is the slider piece. So to do that, I have all of those balloons which I cut out earlier on, and I have my little owl, and I have a 2-inch circle of soft sky, and I just punched that out of a piece of scrap, and that is going to be my base for my slider. So I'm going to start by putting my owl on there, and I think actually I might put him on with a dimensional so that he stands forward just a little bit. I'm going to put him one dimensional on just under his ear there, and I'm just going to pop him along there so that he just stands forward just a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to put balloons onto the rest of the card, of the soft sky. That's what I want to say. Okay, so I'm going to cover this with my Tombow, with my wet adhesive, and I'm going to start with some of the larger balloons at the back. I think I've got enough large balloons on there now, so I'm going to fill in these spaces with some smaller ones. And yeah, I think I'll start with this one here. So now my owl has got quite a lot of balloons, and the last few that I'm going to put on, I'm going to put up on, raise up on dimensionals, and I'm going to put some strings on them. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just a little nick into the owl's wing so that he's got somewhere to hold the string. Okay, and I've done one already, and what I've used is black baker's twine, and I'm just going to tie a knot, and I'm just going to kind of lasso the end of my balloon, put a bit of sticky on the back to hold that in, and then just trim off my end. And I'm cutting much more than I think I'm going to need, because I can always cut it off, but it's very difficult to stick it back on again. Okay. Tie a knot, lasso my balloon, bit of stick, whoa, come back and chop off the excess. Okay, now with a bit of luck and a bit of a dimensional on the back of each of these, just chop away the ends. And I'm just going to turn that over, and I am just going to put just a little bit of wet glue. I'm going to pull that back out the way. Just put a little bit of wet glue on the owl's wing just to hold those pieces in place. And there is my little owl ready to fly away. I put my tearing tape ready on this narrow edge here, and I'm pretty much finished now with the front of the card. I'm now going to open it up because I'm going to work on the inside. And the reason why I want to work on the inside is, as you can see, I've made some pencil marks already, and if I do them on the inside, that means there's no risk of them showing on the other side, and I haven't got to rub them out. So what I have done, I've taken my ruler and I've measured up 2 inches from the bottom of the card, and I've measured about 2 inches in from the fold of the card here, and I've drawn a line that is 1 3/4 inches long, and that is going to be my the slit for my slider. That's easy for you to see. Right. So I'm going to bring in my stamping trimmer. Now, of course, you could do this with a craft knife. Okay, of course you could. I've just got my trimmer handy. I don't need that bit. That's the scoring tool. Right, now I'm going to line this up with the pencil line that I've drawn in the middle of my channel there, and I'm going to start the blade. I'm going to hold it up for now, and I'm going to bring it down and start it at the top of that line, and I'm going to just bring it down for the length of that pencil line that I've cut. Okay, so now I should have a little slit in the card, and I'm just going to move a very small amount to my left, and I'm going to cut again. Okay, and again, if you want to do this with a craft knife, that is absolutely fine, because what you're aiming for is a slit, and that's not terribly straight, but that isn't really going to matter because that's all going to be covered up with the slider from the front. I have a small scrap of Whisper White here. It doesn't have to be Whisper White for this, it could be any colour because it's not going to show. And I'm going to cut it at 3/4 of an inch, like so. And then I'm going to trim that piece to 3 inches. And I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Is that 1/2 inch I just scored it at? Yeah, I think it was. 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And the cat has found a plastic bag and is scratching it. And I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. So I've scored it at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inches, 2.5 inches. Okay. And I'm going to fold this. So I'm going to fold that piece so it's a mountain fold. That's going to be a valley fold. That's a valley fold, and that's a mountain fold. So I wound up with a piece of card that is that shape. Here's my little mechanism piece, and I've put tear and tape on the 2 small flaps, and if I turn it over I put 2 pieces of tear and tape on the back, and I'm going to hold it so that the 2 little legs are sticking upwards, and I'm going to feed it through the slot and open the little legs out, those little flaps out, okay, and I've got it so that it is at the top of the slit that I've cut. Okay, so now this is going to be the tricky bit, because I want to make sure that that is where I want it to be. So a pencil seems to have walked off. Never mind, I have a pen here. Alright, so I'm going to centre that in the back of my card, and I'm going to make sure that I can still see the words happy birthday sticking out of the top there. Okay, you with me so far? Right, okay. So I'm going to mark where this comes. Okay, it's on the inside of the card, nobody's going to see it. Alright, it's all good. It's all fine. And I am now going to take off the backing of the tear and tape. Now you could do this with wet glue and it would probably be a great deal easier, to be honest with you. But for the sake of speed, I'm using tape. Okay, so if I now press that down, and I'm going to do it quite gently because I want to make 100% sure that that is where I want it to be, and yes it is. Okay, and now I can go ahead and push that down and make sure that it's stuck well. Okay, and that, actually I may as well go ahead and do it. So I'm going to keep that in the open position, in the upright position. Actually no, I'm not. I'm going to do a cut here. Okay, so I'm going to keep So I'm keeping this in the open position, and I'm just going to take off the backing of my piece of tear and tape, and I'm going to fold that over and close that down. And that now should stop that from moving around where I don't want it. So nearly finished. I'm going to take the backing of the tear and tape off the flaps on the front, and I'm going to bring back my owl, and I'm going to decide where I want him in the upright position. The up position. I'm not expressing myself very well today, right? And I think that is about it. If I press that down, there is the finished card, and if I pull on the flap, up pops my sentiment, and my owl is flying through the air. I do want to be honest with you, I stamped that a little bit further down the card than I should have. If I'd stamped it maybe, I don't know, a quarter of an inch, half an inch higher up the card, then when I closed it, the owl would have been that much higher up on the front of the card, and I think it would have looked better. But I hope that I've shown you enough to show you what not to do. So if you want to make one of these cards yourself, then you will then you'll do better than I did, basically. And also, I started this card in July and I'm finishing it in October. So there were a lot of things that got in the way of me finishing this card, but that's another story. So that is it for today, and I do hope that you've enjoyed this video, the errors notwithstanding. And if so, then please do give me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel, visit my blog, visit my Facebook page. You know what to do. And I will be posting more videos soon, hopefully with fewer things wrong with them. And I hope you'll join me. Bye bye. Okay, and if I now close that, there is my little owl ready to fly. I don't know if you can hear those noises off, but the cat is apparently trying to dig her way through the bedroom wall. I don't know why she's doing that.